Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Homecoming Weekend, featuring Arts and Culture at Penn. I'm Ian Seltzer, class of 2009, and a member of the Arts at Homecoming Host Committee. This year, we're celebrating 8 years of the Arts at Homecoming, and we're so glad that all of you could join. Our goal is to provide even more opportunities for alumni to come back to campus by highlighting Penn's stellar arts and culture initiatives and organizations. So please, enjoy the program and the weekend that we've put together for you. And now, I'm delighted to introduce Dean Dennis DeTurk, who will lead today's alumni edition of the Penn Arts and Sciences 60-second lectures. Dennis is the Stephen A. Levin Dean of the College and the Robert A. Fox Leadership Professor in Penn Arts and Science, and lest we forget, a professor in mathematics. He's a renowned mathematician who joined the faculty in 1982 and has been the Dean of the College since 2005. During his 3+ decades on campus, he has been a dynamic presence in undergraduate education. He's one of our most celebrated and awarded members of the faculty from both the school and the university. Since 2005, Dennis's unique approach to learning through a comprehensive liberal arts education has certainly had a broad impact on students, this former history major included. Whether it's his enthusiasm for the arts or how he's always willing to have a laugh about the latest Philadelphia Flyers gaffe, the college could not ask for a better torchbearer. And of course, I would be remiss to not mention that Dennis is also the faculty master of REVAMPing College House. Please help me welcome Dean Dennis DeTurk.
Thanks, Ian, and let me add my welcome to this Homecoming Alumni edition of our Arts and Sciences 60-second lecture series. It's great to see so many people here today. Just a couple of words about the 60-second lectures. We've been doing this for almost 15 years now around campus at different events. The lectures actually started as a fun summer outdoor event during summer sessions, and we realized pretty quickly that this would be fun to do at other times, and now we do 2 official series of faculty 60-second lectures, one in the fall and one in the spring. But now, today, we're going to give our alumni a chance to share some of their wisdom, and we've invited 14 college graduates to discuss how their liberal arts degree has influenced their careers, the value of their Penn network, and what advice they might give their younger selves. So we're going to start with Brittany Bell and Brandon Bell, who are going to kick things off. Brittany graduated in 2011 and is a digital media supervisor at Horizon Media in New York. She's a proud Penn volunteer and recently served as a co-chair for her 5th reunion class. Her brother Brandon graduated in 2014 and is a marketing coordinator at CAA Premium Experience, a division of the global talent agency CAA. He's a diehard sports fan, and he's been to every Major League Baseball stadium in the country. So both Brittany and Brandon majored in communication and will speak today as siblings on communication. Please welcome Brittany and Brandon Bell.
So, how many of you knew what you wanted to do and major in when you first stepped foot on campus as a freshman?
Okay, good response. That's what we wanted. So like many of you, we knew that Penn was where we wanted to be, but we really had no idea what we wanted to pursue.
So we came up with the top 4 reasons why the college, our communications major, and the Penn network were key contributors to our Penn paths and current careers.
Number 4, communications allowed us to take courses that were interesting to us while also preparing for the real world ahead. We took everything from Advertising 101 with the Dean of Undergraduate Studies, Amy Jordyn, and Political Economy of Media with Victor Picard, where we had the chance to discuss relevant industry topics. We even got to take a class my freshman year and Brittany's senior year together.
Number 3, staying connected and taking advantage of the Penn network has been extremely valuable to us. After graduating, I got my first job for one of my sorority sisters who was working at a media agency in New York. Her job piqued my interest and seemed very relevant to my major. After we started working together, she quickly became my career mentor and guided me to my next media agency where I currently work.
Number 2, the Penn network provides an array of opportunities for not only staying connected to Penn, but also for professional development. I participated in a program this past year called Penn Pack in New York City, where I network with a team of Penn alums of all ages as we work together on a pro bono consulting project, which allowed us to give back to the community and network amongst one another.
And number 1, some advice to our younger selves. Take advantage of the college's career services. From interview prep to resume review, counselors were always willing to meet and answer questions. And if you didn't know this fun fact, as an alum, you can still send your resume in for review on their website. I did this 2 years ago, and they helped me edit mine when I switched jobs.
Now our advice to you. Remember that Penn alumni and resources are always there for you.
And as we like to say in our family, Penn is not 4 years, Penn is for life.
Thanks, Brandon and Brittany. Next, I want to introduce Jennifer Eisenberg Bernstein. Jennifer graduated from the college in 1993 as an economics major before earning her MBA at NYU's Stern School of Business. She's a director at Citigroup, where she manages the U.S. Equity Client Management Team. But more importantly, she's a mom to Adam, a member of the college's class of 2020, and also Brett and Haley. Today, she's going to discuss the more things change, the more they don't stay the same. Please welcome Jennifer Bernstein.
Good morning. I would definitely classify myself as a type A personality both today and when I was in college. So before I applied to college, I determined that I should be an architect. I liked and excelled in math and science. I was interested in art history, so I thought architecture would be a great fit. I looked at schools that had architecture programs, or in Penn's case, the design of the environment within the College of Arts and Sciences. I have to say I'm so thankful that I ended up choosing a program within a liberal arts school, as it gave me the flexibility that I did not know that I really had. It was during the first semester of my sophomore year, when I was in a year-long drawing course, that I realized I don't want to be an architect. I realized I did not have a passion for drawing. Instead of staying on the path that I came here to complete, I looked into other options. I had taken a microeconomics class the second semester of my freshman year, and I absolutely loved my professor. So I thought econ would be a good major for me, and I made the switch, and I continued to minor in art history. What I'd like to tell my younger self is that it's totally okay to not know what you want to do when you enter college. Take advantage of courses outside your comfort zone, challenge yourself, and take courses that may have nothing to do with what you might think you want to do when you grow up. This is time to take advantage of all Penn has to offer. You have your whole life to focus on one particular area. I truly believe that recruiters look for students with different skill sets, passions, and interests so they can develop a diverse and unique workforce. The bottom line is that change can be good.
Thanks, Jennifer. That major now is called architecture, and it's still thriving. So next we have Theresa Mary Bolmarcich. She's a member of the college class of 1988. Theresa majored in communication systems and policies and organizations, and then went on to earn her Ph.D. And she now leads the market research department at Vertex Incorporated, a local business-to-business tax software company. For fun, she teaches a research methods course to communication students at the College of New Jersey, is learning to be a runner, and enjoys watching her son Luke play football. She's going to speak about memorable Penn moments in the evolution of my career. Please welcome Theresa Mary Bolmarcich.
I think I may have surprised my son back there. So when I was asked to speak today, I thought, what would I talk about? And 3 memorable moments came to my mind. So I'd like to share them with you today to tell you a little bit about the story of how I've evolved in my career. The first moment was when I chose my major. I actually came to Penn as a transfer student, and I had wanted to be an English writing major, but in taking a course at my prior college, I realized I liked and was interested in communications and marketing. So I transferred to Penn, which sounds easy, but it wasn't. And when I got there, I found myself at the Eisenberg School for Communication. And I found myself in Dr. Larry Gross's class called The Aesthetic Experience. And the 2 things that stood out for me about that class was that Dr. Gross wore the exact same outfit every week. He wore a purple polo, blue jeans, and a purple handkerchief in his back pocket. And he also showed us the film The Servant over and over again. And I remember in that class being frustrated, like, what am I learning here? But what was astounding was that by the end of the class, I realized that I was thinking in a way I had never thought before. He was trying to tell us that when you consume a media text over multiple periods of time, you're a different subjective person at each time, and so you're going to consume it differently. And that just floored me. I'd never thought like that, so I said, I want to be a communication major. My second moment is at the end of my Penn career when I was offered my first job. I remember standing in my mother's kitchen and the phone rang, like the phone on the wall. And I picked it up, and it was Senior Vice President of Media Planning at an advertising agency in New York where I had interned the prior summer. And he said to me, we'd really like you to come in for an interview. And I thought to myself, I already have another offer. I have to let them know on Monday. What do I do in this situation? And I said, Senior Vice President of Media Planning, I'd really like to work at your company, but I can't do it. I have another offer. I can't come in for an interview. Well, one thing I didn't tell you yet is that I got this internship through the Penn Career Planning and Placement Office, and in fact, the Senior Vice President was a Penn alum. And I said, if you offer me the job on the phone right now, I'll take it. And he did. He did. And I think he did because of the Penn connection and the comfort level he had with me from having done the internship, but also knowing where I was coming from. So not to say that you're all going to get a job from a Penn alum, but it was pretty unusual. And my final Penn moment was when I was working at Y&R. And when I was there, I loved my job. I loved the advertising industry. I loved the city. And I was very comfortable. But I remember one thing I learned at Annenberg, and that was that the media served the public interest, and it also instilled in me this desire to serve in some way. And I thought to myself, what am I serving here? I'm serving coffee. I was helping sell coffee. And I thought to myself, this may not be the best use of my talents. And I then changed jobs, even though I was very happy. And I went to work for the Center for Telecommunications and Information Studies in New York City. And I found my true love, which is research, and that's what I do today. Thank you.
Thanks, Theresa. Next, I want to introduce Samantha Braun. Sammy is a 2012 college graduate who majored in political science with a minor in creative writing. She works in investor relations and external affairs at Uber and spends her time exploring new restaurants, neighborhoods, and music venues throughout New York City. Today, she's going to talk to us about pursuing an interest, not a career. Please welcome Samantha Braun.
So I've always had an interest in improving urban living. At 15, I shoved campaign flyers under apartment doors for a city council candidate. At 18, I interned at the criminal court. So at Penn, I majored in political science because I thought that government was the best and at that time the only way to have an impact on a city. But after some time on campus, I wondered whether government really was the only application for my interest in political science. Instead of accepting an offer to join a senator's campaign after graduation, I looked for a role that would push me to further define my interest in government. So without any experience in the private sector, I accepted a job at Teneo, a corporate strategy firm, when an interviewer explained that I could focus on clients' policy agendas. The decision to join Teneo immediately expanded the boundaries of what I imagined I could do with political science and uncovered that my interest was the intersection of business, tech, and government, a conclusion I might have never reached had I just joined a familiar Senate campaign. Through my work at Teneo and now at Uber, I realized that the private sector is often more nimble than government and can launch innovative solutions to urban problems more efficiently. For example, I've witnessed how securing investors in developing markets in Nigeria and Egypt helped Uber provide accessible and reliable transportation to people who've never had it before. I would have never come to this realization if I had been focused on the traditional political science career path and hadn't been open-minded about what else I could do. All this is to say that my advice is to pursue an interest and see where it takes you. There's no need to decide on a career before you step off this campus. Allow yourself to see where your true interests take you, and it might not be where you think.
Thanks, Sammy. I'm really glad we're recording these. They're all going up on the college website for our current students and parents. but thanks again. Next, I want to introduce Ari Cohen, a philosophy, politics, and economics major who graduated in 2013. Ari is building her career in impact investing with experiences at the Global Impact Investing Network and the TriLink Global Impact Fund. She derives the most joy from spending time with her family and friends and in the great outdoors, and often the two combined. Ari is going to discuss the intentional but unplanned road ahead. Please welcome Ari Cohen.
So quick poll, how many of you make to-do lists every day? And how many of you self-tag yourself as slightly OCD, perhaps? So like many other students at Penn, I am an extreme planner, probably too much of a planner. And when it came time to senior year at Penn and I was about to venture into the real world, I was slightly worried. I think until that point, I sort of had a road for myself. I knew that middle school came first, and then high school, and then undergrad. But as I was about to venture into the real world, I didn't know what to do about this unplanned road ahead. What I now know after 4 years of being outside of school is that the best thing you can do is make intentional decisions. You can make choices based on the facts that you know at the time and with a sort of long-term vision in the back of your mind. And I wish I could say I had a 10-year plan, but I now know that even if I did, in 2 years' time, it would become moot, especially because this upcoming Monday, I'll be moving to Los Angeles cross-country. So I think the advice that I would give to myself and that I would share with others is that take many steps where you feel like you can learn anything and grow yourself as a person. And over time, these many steps will pan out into a pretty promising and exciting road ahead.
Next, let me introduce Jordyn Feingold. Jordyn graduated in 2015 with a major in health and societies, and now has received her Master's of Applied Positive Psychology this year. As a first-year medical student at the Icahn School of Medicine at Mount Sinai in New York, she is passionate about bridging gaps in our medical system between health and happiness for both patients and providers. Jordyn's on a mission to spark a paradigm shift in medicine in which doctors and other health professionals pursue their own wellness on par with and in service to patient care. Her lecture is titled Revamping Your Daily Grind, The Power of Pursuing Well-Being. Please welcome Jordyn Feingold.
So until just now, how many of you knew that there was a degree program at Penn called the Masters of Applied Positive Psychology degree? Okay, so fortunately, when I was an undergrad here, I found out about this program and was totally captured by its mission, which is to promote the scientific study of well-being and human flourishing. So I matriculated into this program, which is a one-year degree program, and it was one of the most transformative experiences of my life. So often, and this is sort of the domain of positive psychology, we go through life not necessarily depressed or suffering, but also not fulfilling our potential for our ultimate well-being and human flourishing. And this is really where I'm interested in, this metaphorical number line. We're not -10 to 0, but really operating from 0 to +10. And throughout my studies in positive psychology, I came up with an acronym, which is both, it's a call to action for all of us to sort of revamp our daily grind, and it's REVAMP. And it is relationships, engagement, vitality, accomplishment, meaning, and positive emotions. So we're just going to delve into these a little bit and offer some recommendations both to all of you and some advice that I would give my former self. So relationships. Relationships are the most important indicator of well-being across ages, cultures, and all people. So I would just advise you to prioritize and cherish your relationships every day, whether they're with colleagues, friends, really close others, and even your relationship with yourself. Engagement. Do something you love, even if it's for only 5 minutes every day. Whether it's running, painting, reading, or doing something at work that you get lost in, being engaged in what you do is a highly important factor of well-being. Vitality, the V in revamp. Do something for your physical health every day. So whether it's cooking a healthy meal for yourself, getting into bed earlier than you think is possible, or going, out and exercising, vitality is what makes us feel alive and able to thrive every day. Accomplishment. You're all highly accomplished people. If you're sitting in this room, you went to Penn. But how do you conceptualize what your accomplishments are? Do they have a pro-social mission? When we align our accomplishment with others' accomplishments, so doing good for other people, we get a really maximal bang for our buck in terms of our well-being. Meeting. Being part of something bigger than yourself. Try to at least, you're all here, we're all part of this amazing Penn community, and that's really just in and of itself so good for us. So being part of something that's bigger than us, whether it's a religious organization or something that you're passionate about, thinking about these things every day is something that's really helpful. And finally, positive emotions. Summon and savor positive emotions, including joy, gratitude, serenity, interest, hope, amusement, inspiration, awe, and love. Savor the simple things like taking a hot shower, drinking a delicious glass of wine. Express gratitude to the people around you. And when bad things happen, which they inevitably will, try to hold the positive emotions with the negative ones. And that's really the key to resilience and bouncing back. So remember to revamp your daily grind. Think relationships, engagement, vitality, accomplishment, meaning, and positive emotions. And hopefully by doing so, your daily grind won't feel like a grind at all. Thank you.
Thanks, Jordyn. Next, we have Bill Glazer, a member of the class of 1990 and now the parent of a college sophomore. Bill majored in communication, another comm major. Immediately after graduating from Penn, he used his liberal arts foundation to found the Keystone Property Group, a real estate investment and property development company. Bill's message today is ask the big questions first. Please welcome Bill Glazer.
So I'm one of 4 generations of Penn students who had a liberal arts education here. G1, my grandmother in 1926, my father in 58, and myself at 90. My daughter, class of 19, who's too busy to be here today to hear her dad speak. Now, I understand that. I understand that she's too busy. She's a sorority girl, and she's got stuff going on. And Dad, it's homecoming. So I get that because I get it because I was a fraternity guy. And I'm going to tell you all something about fraternity men that may shock you. Fraternity guys love to haze and poke at each other. And it was just such an experience that I had. It was an anecdote from a time that I saw in passing 2 of my brothers, Matt and Scott, who were debating about the merits of their undergraduate educations. Matt, a Wharton finance major, and Scott, a classical studies liberal arts major. And Matt says to Scott, the great thing about a Penn education is that it really improves your odds. For example, odds are much better that I'll end up trading on the floor at Goldman Sachs rather than TD Ameritrade. And odds are much greater that you'll be waiting tables at La Terrace over Olive Garden. To which Scott, then president of the fraternity and very clever, said, well, Matt, clearly you've learned a lot with your Wharton education, including how to be humble. He says, let me tell you the difference between your education and ours. He says, really about your training versus our thinking. You see, I have the rest of my career, the rest of my life, to answer the small questions. He says, but at Penn, I choose to answer the big questions first. Thank you.
Thanks, Bill. I love it when the students and alumni do that. Next, I want to introduce Changhee Han. As an English major, Chang graduated in 2015. He's now a business development associate at a pharmaceutical research firm who likes to say that he's going to write a book one day, but doesn't actually write anything. We'll see. But today, Chang is going to talk about humanizing pharma. Please welcome Changhee Han.
So just a few days ago, I read an interesting newspaper article about how English majors are the latest hot commodity in the job market. And I laughed to myself because I didn't realize Starbucks was doing so well. But there was a tidbit in that article that piqued my interest and inspired what I'm going to say to you today. So, as mentioned, I work at a pharmaceutical market research company, and it just so happens that I'm the only English, or liberal arts major for that matter, among the latest class of recruits who range from neuroscience to bioengineering to financial statistics. So how in the world did I land in pharma? The article I mentioned to you before noted that the reason why English majors were so hot was because of the lack of communication skills they found in their latest STEM recruits. They found that a lot of them couldn't write a coherent email, I joke, but more importantly, didn't have the abilities to convey a story or an important message effectively. And during my interview, I was a former pre-med student, so the case study, 1 + 1, great, that was good to go. But what I hammered during my time when I was talking with the principals was my ability, my liberal arts background that helped me allow to critically analyze what I was given and create a story out of it. And it just so happens in that line of work, that's what I'm doing. I'm creating a story out of the hard data that I'm given. Some insights we glean are, what are patients worried about, like when it comes to accessing drugs? What are physicians worried about when they prescribe these drugs? From these questions, we create a picture of the market to help drug companies to better understand how better they can improve their services. And especially with figures like Martin Shkreli taking over the media news, we need these stories more than ever now to bridge the empathetic gap between consumers and pharma. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Jack. He learned that ironic stance here, right? Next, let me introduce Jennifer Krevitt. Jennifer graduated from the college in 1986 as an economics major with a minor in math. Woo! She earned her J.D. from Penn Law in 1992. She's now a managing director at Goldman Sachs, where she's worked for almost 20 years. Jennifer is also a member of the Penn Arts and Sciences Professional Women's Alliance, a group of professionally accomplished college alumni who value their liberal arts educations and who have hosted some terrific programs for students in the college and recent grads in New York City. She's still best friends with her college roommates and is married with 2 boys and 2 dogs. Jennifer's talk is titled, Let It Be. Please welcome Jennifer.
Hi. 2 roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. Wow. When I used to hear that, I thought it sounded like a lot of responsibility. Every decision, a make or break fork in the road, defining me. That at this moment, the turn I make will set me up for a life of success or failure. I now prefer to read Robert Frost's poem, The Road Not Taken, differently. That life is a series of small, incremental choices. Some good, some not so good, but none are absolute deal breakers. That how I make decisions is as important as the decisions I actually make. Looking in the rearview mirror, life looks like a straight path. But in fact, there are always so many twists and turns that together produce the road we travel. When we graduate from Penn with our liberal arts educations in hand, we are really ready to take on the world. We speak at least another language, know how to write really well, think critically, and have built lifelong friendships and networks. Don't be fearful. It is never too late. Think before you jump, but make sure you jump. I shall be telling this with a sigh somewhere ages and ages hence. 2 roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference.
Thanks, Jennifer. Our next speaker is Bharti Malkani. Bharti majored in history and is a member of the class of 1991. She owns and operates learning centers for children in Manhattan. She's also a member of the Penn Arts and Sciences Professional Women's Alliance. She's the mother of 2 boys, ages 8 and 11, and has a passion for collecting art, and she also enjoys hiking and yoga. Bharti's theme today is multifaceted, achieving satisfaction through disparate pursuits. Please welcome Bharti Malkani.
Good morning. I studied history during my years at Penn. History from every angle, through the lens of literature, through the lens of science, and through the lens of diplomacy. Indeed, that was what I found so fascinating, to learn about something in this multifaceted and interdisciplinary way, and to be able to see the world in all of its interconnected glory. Out in the real world, I also sought out ways to connect my varied interests, and found my way into investor relations, which combined my love for writing with my interest in business and finance. After several years of working in the corporate world, I felt the itch to set out on my own. I'm now on my third career, having moved from investor relations to establishing a wholesale jewelry company to running learning centers for children. By working for myself, I have managed to achieve that very elusive and delicate balance between work and motherhood. These days, I think a lot about the future for my children, who are 11 and 8. Given how automation, technology, and artificial intelligence are quickly changing the landscape, and how jobs are disappearing and evolving, should I be steering my children toward more technology and science pursuits? Is there any benefit to a liberal arts education anymore? Increasingly, I feel that the values of a humanities-based education are actually even more important for the future, that creativity and collaboration and flexibility and the ability to communicate effectively are essential for innovation and entrepreneurship. Without these qualities, we might as well be machines ourselves. Thank you.
Thank you, Bharti. Now let me introduce Varun Kumar Menon. Varun is a brand new college alum, having graduated in 2016 with a major in history. He's now a first-year medical student on a U.S. Army scholarship at the Vanderbilt University School of Medicine, where he serves as president of his class. While he was at Penn, he co-founded and led the Government and Politics Association and continues to remain active in political action and public policy. Varun will speak today on the freedom of the liberal arts education. Please welcome Varun Kumar Menon.
So I actually had the opportunity to study abroad at the University of Edinburgh a couple of years ago, and I often got the question, how are you a history major, but you want to go to medical school, and you're also interested in public policy and political action? And the answer, of course, is the liberal arts education, which is something that's very unique in this country, and it's starting to catch hold around the world, but it's something that we are very fortunate to have here. And as great as the liberal arts education is for the student, giving the student academic freedom, I think it's important to note what the liberal arts education has done for advancing society and for solving some of the big problems that we face. And I think when you have physics majors who go to law school, or you have history majors who go to medical school and so on, you infuse these different fields with new talents, new ways of looking at the world, looking at old problems through the perspective of fresh eyes. And that's what I think the real value of the liberal arts education is. When I was here at Penn, I had the opportunity to work with Dr. Robert Gross. And Dr. Gross was actually an Italian major at Cornell, which we won't hold against him. But he is an infectious disease specialist here at Penn, and he works and looks at problems related to clinical medicine, and specifically the relationship between the physician and the patient, and how to communicate to the patient whether to take their medications or to stay, to live a healthy life. And so I worked with him on a project which looked at how the communications and linguistic elements between the relationship between the physician and the patient influence the patient's behavior in taking their medication regimen. And so this is just one example of how a liberal arts education, a diverse background, can help the people who are working in a particular field to look at a problem from a completely different angle and find something that people who are already in the field had not seen before. And so I think that I'm very happy to have graduated with a history major from Penn, because I think going to medical school and having that humanities background and understanding how to tell a story or to communicate a message, I think that's very important, and it's undervalued, I think, a lot of times, specifically in the sciences. So I hope that at Penn we can continue to uphold that tradition and allow future generations to seize it. Thank you.
Thanks, Varun. Our next speaker is Jeffrey Solomon, a member of the class of 1988. Jeffrey is the father of 3, 2 of whom are current college students, and the husband of 1. He's the president of Cohen, a full-service investment firm focused on helping its clients to outperform financial markets. His topic is, "You Were Going to Be an Actor?" Please welcome Jeffrey Solomon.
Thanks for having me, and thanks for the great undergraduate education. So true to my undergraduate form, my undergraduate self, I wrote this like 5 minutes ago. So some things change, some things don't. Just saying. So I think one of the questions I get all the time from a lot of undergraduates and the young folks that started in our organization is, "You want to be an actor?" I'm like, yeah. Like the 22-year-old me had this life plan, and I really wanted to be starring in musicals on Broadway. And the only thing I knew how to do was I just needed to get to New York. And I thought to myself, here's an idea. You can get a job in investment banking, you can save some money so that when you become an actor at the age of 24, you can do it without waiting tables. That was my life plan. The best thing about investment banking was that it was a 2-year commitment. So I could leave after 2 years and be an actor. And that was my goal. And I did that. I actually went and did that whole program, and then I stopped investment banking and I tried to do the acting thing, and I actually didn't really like it that much, even though I'd done a ton of musicals and really done a ton of performance here at Penn. And I'm like, wow, darn good thing I did the whole investment banking thing. It turns out I actually like business and finance, and I'm really in the business of telling stories. So as an undergraduate, I studied economics, and I was a theater minor. And economics is really just the study of human behavior, rational and irrational. And theater is really just the manifestation of human behavior through performance. I never thought about that as an undergraduate. I thought it was fun. It interested me, so I did it. And it turns out that the skills I learned in those disciplines are vital to my ability to negotiate transactions and manage people, which is what I do every day. So the advice I would give to the undergraduate me is, hey, first of all, follow your big, hairy, audacious goal because you never know where it's going to take you. And the second is, just enjoy your undergraduate education and the things it teaches you. You're actually learning critical skills just by engaging in the study of liberal arts. And that's really, at the end of the day, all that matters. You need to think critically, and here at Penn, I certainly learned how to do that. Thank you.
Thanks, Jeffrey. Closing for us today will be Humaira Naz Zafar. Humaira is a member of the college class of 2000, and she majored in South Asian regional studies. She went on to earn her law degree after that. She's a healthcare consultant living in Northern Virginia, chasing after her 5- and 3-year-olds while living and practicing a healthy lifestyle. And they are too, right? Trying to. Okay, today she's going to speak on Our World, Near and Far, Interrelated and Diverse. Please welcome Humaira Naz Zafar.
Wow, thank you so much. It's so nice to be back on campus. And actually, I'll share a story specifically with you. So I have a 3- and 5-year-old, and last night as I was planning out my day, I said, you guys should come with Mommy. And they said, no, we're going to Toys R Us tomorrow. We have a Halloween party at school, and we want to spend the day with Daddy. And I was like, that's fine. Since Daddy's a Cornell alumni, you guys aren't invited anymore. And then they responded to me, and they said, that's okay, Mommy, you just go alone. So even my 3- and 5-year-old have a busy social calendar, so don't feel bad if your sophomore is saying that to you. So as a young, wide-eyed freshman ready to embark on life at Penn, I found myself yearning for philosophical and inspiring meanings of thought and clarity to which answers were established. I quickly found myself taking several South Asian regional study courses here at Penn and learning about the South Asian subcontinent along with its religious, ethnic, and cultural diversity. From that began my study of the greatest poets and thinkers of the subcontinent, namely Sir Allama Iqbal. Known for his great passion for the condemnation of weak will and passiveness, his angry protest against inequality, discrimination, and oppression in all forms, his preaching of optimism, an active attitude towards life and man's high purpose in the world, and importantly, his assertion of the noble ideas and principles of humanism, democracy, peace, and friendship among peoples, and most importantly, his poem, The Complaint, and the response to the complaint, in which self-awareness and ownership are addressed, has resonated for me personally when I practiced law to truly understand where my client and other parties were coming from and where they wanted to go. When my clients would ask me, what do you think I should do? I would respond, well, what do you really want? And then be able to reach judgment when others didn't really know what they wanted. And now in dealing with my 3- and 5-year-olds, when at this precious age, their minds are constantly asking me questions of why and how does the moon do this and the sky do that and the sun do this, usually my response is, well, what do you think? And then usually I say, let's try and figure this out together. What I would tell my younger self, I would say that work really hard. If you don't understand something, utilize everything on campus to try to get to your answer. And if you still don't get to an answer, you can contemplate. And with that you'll learn critical thinking. Thank you.
Thanks, Humira. And thanks again to all our participants. I think we should give them all another round of applause. One parting thought, I guess, is that I think this was a tremendous illustration of the way the college continues to uphold the vision of our founders who declared that our goal, or the goal of a liberal arts education, is in fact to liberate young minds from ignorance, prejudice, and superstition. And I think all of our alums, we do it differently now than they did in the 17 and 1800s, but we're still doing it. So, and thank you all for illustrating it so well. Now, I do want to invite you to do two things. One is to join us later for the Band Slam on College Green at 4:30 after the football game, and because at that Band Slam you'll get to enjoy musical performances from our talented students and alumni. And I'd also like to invite you to help yourself to some more of the refreshments and food that's around. And last but not least, I want to give a shout out to a few students who are here from my Dean's Advisory Board. So thanks guys for showing up today and waving the flag for our current students, and have a great day. Go Quakers, beat the Bears.